There is a divine supply for every demand. We live in a universe rich beyond measure, yet so many walk through life with empty hands, simply because they have never learned to knock on heaven's vault and open the treasures within. Many believe wealth comes only through effort, chance, or the favor of other people. But the truth is, wealth is a spiritual vibration, an invisible river flowing from the infinite source. It is not earned by struggle, it is claimed by faith. And there is a prayer, not of begging, but of knowing, a prayer that aligns your heart with God's unfailing law of abundance. I recall a woman who came to me many years ago. Her finances were in ruins. Debts pressed her from every side. She said, "I have prayed for money, yet nothing happens." I replied, "You have prayed for money as though it were something distant, something you must convince God to give you. But God's gifts are already yours. Your prayer must be one of recognition, not desperation. You must speak as one who has already received." And so I gave her a declaration. Infinite Spirit, I give thanks that the vaults of heaven are open, and the riches of the universe are pouring into my life under grace, in perfect ways. She spoke it morning and night, not to force anything, but to align her mind with the truth. She stopped rehearsing her lack, and began rehearsing her abundance. Within weeks, unexpected income arrived, debts were cleared, and new doors of prosperity opened effortlessly. You see, heaven's vault is never locked from God's side. It is locked from the human side, by fear, doubt, and the false belief in limitation. The key that turns the lock is faith spoken aloud, words saturated with the certainty of God's supply. When you declare, "The vaults of heaven are open to me now," you are not creating wealth, you are recognizing it. You are tuning your mind to the station where God's abundance is already broadcasting. And once you are tuned in, the channels through which it reaches you appear naturally, through ideas, people, opportunities, and even what the world calls miracles. The law is exact: what you prepare for, you receive. If you prepare for lack, lack will come. If you prepare for abundance, abundance will come. Just as you would set the table for honored guests, so you must set your mental table for wealth. You must make room for it in your thoughts, your words, and even your actions. Affirm, "I am one with the lavish abundance of God. All that is mine by divine right now comes to me in perfect order, bringing blessings to all it touches." This prayer is not about greed, for true wealth is never selfish. It blesses the giver and the receiver. When you are supplied, you become a supplier. The river that flows to you also flows through you, watering dry places and lifting others into the light of provision. Remember, God is the great banker. No account in his keeping can ever be overdrawn. The more you draw upon his supply, the more there is to draw. Infinite substance cannot be depleted. It is as eternal as God himself. So today, lay aside every fearful thought about how the money will come. How is God's business? Your business is to believe, to speak the truth until it is as real to you as the air you breathe. Let us close with the prayer that opens heaven's vault. Infinite Spirit, I give thanks that the treasures of heaven are mine now. I walk in faith, knowing that all that is mine by divine right flows to me in perfect order. The vaults of heaven are open, and unlimited wealth pours into my life under grace, in miraculous ways. I am rich in substance, rich in ideas, rich in every good thing. I give, I receive, I rejoice, and the river never runs dry. Hold to this truth, and you will find that the gold you seek is already in your hands. So many people believe wealth is a thing to be hunted, as though it is hiding somewhere in the shadows, waiting for the clever or the lucky to stumble upon it. They run after it as one might chase a butterfly, darting this way and that, exhausting themselves, yet always feeling that it flutters just out of reach. This is because they have mistaken the effect for the cause. Money, possessions, opportunities, these are not the source of wealth. They are the byproducts, the shadows cast by a much greater light. True wealth begins in the unseen. It is a spiritual vibration, an invisible current that flows unceasingly from the infinite source. It is like the fragrance of a garden. The fragrance is not the garden itself, but the sign that beauty and life are present. Money is not the garden, it is the fragrance. The real garden is your inner consciousness of abundance. A woman once came to me, weary from years of struggle. "I have worked harder than anyone I know," she said, "and yet I am always on the edge of want." I looked at her and knew at once she had been laboring in the field without planting the right seed in the soil of her mind. She believed in toil, but not in supply. She had faith in her effort, but not in the great spiritual law that makes effort fruitful. I told her, "You are like a man rowing a boat against the current, straining every muscle, never realizing that if you would but turn your boat around, the river of supply would carry you effortlessly. For wealth is not earned by force, it is received by alignment. The infinite is never poor, God never has to count his gold, never measures his giving, never fears running short. All the gold in the earth, all the diamonds hidden in its depths, all the oceans, all the stars, are but a faint suggestion of his limitless substance. And you, yes, you are the heir to it all, for you are his child." When you understand this, something marvelous happens. You stop chasing wealth and begin receiving it. You cease to look outside yourself for your good, and begin to realize that your good flows through you. The river is within, not without. And once you find that river, you discover it is always high tide. This is why some people seem to draw money without effort, while others never quite have enough. Those who receive easily have aligned themselves with the vibration of wealth. They expect it, they prepare for it, they speak as though it is already theirs. They do not clutch or beg or compete, for they know that what is theirs by divine right cannot be taken by another, nor can they take what belongs to another. And how do you align with this vibration? By speaking the language of abundance, by thinking thoughts rich with gratitude, by refusing to entertain the beggar's voice in your mind that says, "There isn't enough, and there never will be." Every such thought is like lowering the blinds on the windows of your soul. Raise them, let the sunlight in. Say often, "I am one with the lavish abundance of God. I am in tune with the divine vibration of wealth. Riches of every kind flow to me freely, joyously, and without end." And do not merely say it, feel it. Imagine yourself standing under a waterfall of golden light, each drop pure substance, pure supply, pure blessing. Let it pour over you, into every area of your life. For as you feel it, you are vibrating in harmony with it, and that vibration is the magnet that draws form to your door. Let me tell you another story. A man came to me with a long face. "I have lost everything," he said. "My business has failed. My savings are gone. I do not know how I will go on." I replied, "You have lost nothing but the symbols. The substance that created those symbols is still with you. It is God's wealth, and it is infinite. If you will align with it again, the symbols will return, perhaps in new and better ways." He began to affirm daily, "God is my instant, constant, and abundant supply. I live in the midst of riches, and all that is mine by divine right now appears." Within 3 months, a new opportunity came to him, better than the one he had before, and his finances flourished once more. Why? Because he stopped chasing the shadow and turned to the light that cast it. If you are chasing wealth, you are telling the universe that you do not have it. And as long as you tell that story, the law will echo it back to you. Yes, you do not have it. But when you declare, "I already live in abundance," the law replies, "Yes, you already have it," and it rushes to manifest the proof. Wealth is not a destination, it is a state of being. It is not something you acquire, it is something you remember. And when you remember it, the outer forms will arrange themselves accordingly, as naturally as the tide follows the moon. You are like a radio receiver. If you wish to hear the music of abundance, you must tune to its station. You cannot sit on the dial of fear and expect to hear the symphony of prosperity. Change your frequency, and the music will flood in. So release the chase. Let go of the anxious grasping that says, "If I do not hold on, I will lose it." Rest in the truth that you are part of a limitless flow, and the flow cannot be interrupted except by your own disbelief. Affirm now, with all your heart, "I do not run after wealth. Wealth runs to me. I do not strive for supply. I dwell in supply. I am one with the infinite vibration of prosperity, and it manifests in perfect form, here and now." When this truth takes root in your consciousness, you will no longer be the weary traveler chasing a mirage. You will be the one who stands still, and the oasis will come to you, clear, cool, and overflowing. And from here you are ready to step into the next great truth, that prayer is not a plea to God, but a recognition of what He has already given. When you know wealth is a vibration of spirit, you no longer grovel at the feet of the material world. You no longer look at your empty purse and cry, "Lord, please, please give me something," for that plea, though it may be sincere, is laced with the poison of doubt. It tells the universe, "I do not have." I am separate from my good, and the law, which is exact and unerring, will reflect that very belief back to you. Prayer is not a cry in the darkness, it is a song in the light. It is not a request for something far away, but a declaration that the gifts of God are already in your hands. The moment you shift from asking to recognizing, from pleading to praising, the vault of heaven swings open, and supply rushes toward you as though it had been waiting for your permission to enter. I remember a young man who came to me utterly worn from what he called years of unanswered prayer. He had prayed for money, for work, for a break in life, but always in the tone of one at the mercy of fate. I asked him to repeat one of his prayers aloud, and he began, "God, please help me, please send me something, please don't let me fail." I stopped him gently and said, "You are speaking as one who believes God has forgotten you. You are speaking from separation, not unity." I gave him new words to speak. "Thank you, Father, that you have already provided for me in perfect ways. Thank you that my path is prepared and my supply is sure." I told him to say these words as if he were already holding the answer in his hands, to feel the warmth of gratitude before the outer form appeared, and as he spoke them, I saw the light begin to return to his eyes. Within 2 weeks he had secured a position that met his every need and opened greater doors than he had imagined. You see, begging for wealth affirms its absence. Recognition affirms its presence. And the law of mind is that what you recognize, you magnetize. The child of a wealthy father does not beg for bread. She goes to the table knowing her place is set. She does not wonder if she is worthy of the meal, for her worth is in her very being. So it is with you and the Father, Mother, God. Your place at the banquet of abundance has been prepared from the beginning. When you pray, you are not asking to be invited. You are taking your rightful seat. This is why Jesus said, "When ye pray, believe that ye receive them, and ye shall have them." He did not say, "Believe you might receive," nor "Believe if you are good enough you will receive." He said, "Believe that ye receive," present tense, already done. So when you pray, do not see yourself as one reaching toward a distant good. See yourself as one standing in the center of it. Speak from the end, not from the gap. Instead of "Lord, please send me money to pay my debts," declare, "I give thanks that all my debts are paid, and I walk in freedom." Instead of "Please give me an opportunity," say, "I rejoice that the perfect opportunity is mine now, and I act upon it with wisdom and joy." Your word is your wand. Every time you speak in faith, you wave that wand, and the invisible substance of God begins to take shape around your declaration. But if you speak in fear, you wave that wand in the dark, and the shapes that form will match the shadows in your mind. A woman once told me she had prayed for a raise at work for months with no result. I asked her, "How do you pray?" She said, "I tell God I need more money, that I can't go on like this, that it's not fair." I smiled and replied, "You have been praying the problem, not the solution. Every time you rehearse lack in prayer, you strengthen it. Speak the end you desire as though it were already here, and you will call it into being." She changed her prayer to, "I give thanks that I am richly compensated for my work, and that my income increases under grace in perfect ways." In less than a month, a position opened in her company, one she had never considered, and it paid her nearly double her former wage. Prayer of recognition is the golden key. When you grasp it, you unlock the vault without struggle. You stop pounding on a closed door and realize you are already inside the treasure house. Now, I must speak plainly. Recognition is not pretending. It is not positive thinking in the shallow sense. It is an inner knowing, grounded in the unshakable truth that God is your source and that His supply is as constant as His love. Pretending wavers when the wind blows. Recognition stands firm through every storm. Say this now, with all your heart, Infinite Spirit, I know you as my unfailing source. I know that what is mine by divine right is here now. I see it, I feel it, I claim it, and I give thanks for it. Under grace, in perfect ways, it manifests in my world. Feel the shift as you speak it. That is the door swinging open. That is the vault releasing its storehouses. That is the vibration of answered prayer moving through your life. Once you have prayed in recognition, act as if it is so. Walk into the shop as one who can afford the best, even if you do not buy. Open your mail as one who expects good news. Rise in the morning with the quiet certainty that the day is already blessed. When you pray from recognition, you no longer measure your faith by what you see in the moment. You measure it by the truth that stands beyond appearances. And when you live this way, the law will bring your outer world into harmony with your inner knowing. And now, having learned that prayer is recognition, not begging, we are ready to take hold of the next great principle, that faith spoken aloud is the key that unlocks the vault. You now understand that prayer is not a plea, but a recognition of what is already yours. But recognition alone, if kept silent, is like a treasure map locked away in a drawer. It cannot guide you to the gold until it is brought out into the light. Faith must be spoken. The word is the bridge between the invisible and the visible, between the idea in the mind and the form in the world. God spoke the universe into being, and you, made in His image, are given that same creative power in miniature. Your words are seeds, and when they are spoken in faith, they grow into the very harvest you declare. The vault of heaven is never locked from God's side, it is barred only by the bolts of human fear, doubt, and limitation. The spoken word, charged with faith, is the key that turns those bolts and swings the door wide. I knew a man who had studied spiritual law for years, yet his life remained small. He said to me, "I think abundance, I visualize it, I meditate on it, but nothing changes." I asked him, "Do you speak it aloud?" He admitted he did not, for fear of sounding foolish to others, or even to himself. I told him, if the word was mighty enough to set the stars in their courses, it is mighty enough to set your affairs in order. But the word must be spoken to be released. I gave him a declaration: I am one with God's inexhaustible supply. All that is mine by divine right now comes to me with speed and certainty, under grace, in perfect ways. I told him to speak it aloud, every morning and night, and whenever fear tried to creep in. At first he said it quietly, almost apologetically. But as the days passed, I urged him to speak it with conviction, as though addressing the very universe. Within a month, his stagnant business received a surge of new clients, more than he had seen in years. He had turned the key. You see, unspoken faith can lie dormant, spoken faith awakens the law. The vibration of your voice carries your belief into the realm of form, commanding substance to arrange itself according to your word. But here is the danger: the law works with equal precision upon words of fear, as it does upon words of faith. Many people lock their own vault by constantly declaring lack. They say, "I can't afford it. Money is hard to come by. I'll never get ahead." Each of those statements is a key turned in the wrong direction, sealing the door tighter. I once knew a woman who was constantly short of funds. Every time she paid a bill, she would sigh. "There goes my last dollar." I told her, "You are speaking your last dollar into existence, over and over. Reverse your words, and you will reverse your condition." She began to say instead, "Every dollar I spend comes back to me multiplied, under grace." And in a few weeks, unexpected income began to flow from sources she had never considered. The key is this: speak what you desire as if it is already established, and the law will make it so. Do not wait for the feeling to come first. Let the words shape the feeling. Speak yourself into faith. Speak yourself into joy. Speak yourself into joy. Speak yourself into abundance. Say now, with authority, "The vault of heaven is open to me now. I walk in the midst of riches. I call forth the supply that is mine by divine right, and it appears in perfect ways." Do not whisper this truth as if it might break. Speak it with the calm confidence of one stating a fact. You do not whisper, "The sun is shining," when you see it in the sky. You state it plainly. So it is with your good. It is as real as the sun, though unseen to the physical eye in the moment. Remember, the spoken word is not for God's benefit. He already knows your supply. It is for your benefit, to fix your mind on the truth until all doubt is dissolved. Each time you declare your good, you are chiseling away at the stone of unbelief, until the door to your treasure house swings free. Let me give you another affirmation that has unlocked many a vault. I am the rich child of a loving Father. All that is mine by divine right comes to me now. I rejoice in my abundance, and I am safe in God's eternal supply. Use it as a key whenever you feel lack trying to take hold. Speak it aloud until the feeling of lack loosens its grip and the certainty of abundance fills your heart. Faith spoken aloud is not about shouting, it is about resonance. You must speak from the depth of your being, from the part of you that knows you are one with infinite intelligence. Your voice should carry the tone of a royal heir claiming his inheritance, not a beggar hoping for a coin. And the more you speak in this way, the more you will find that your outer life begins to obey your inner command. The checks arrive, the doors open, the opportunities present themselves, not because you have chased them, but because you have called them by name and they have recognized your voice. Now, once you understand the power of the spoken word, you will also understand this: the law will give you exactly what you prepare for. Your words are the first act of preparation, they set the table for the feast. And that brings us to the next great truth, that the law gives you what you prepare for, no more and no less. Once you have spoken your faith aloud, you have sent forth the command. But the law, being exact, now watches to see if you are ready to receive what you have called for. For the universe never delivers an answer to a locked house. Preparation is the proof of faith. What you prepare for, you expect. And what you expect, by the unfailing operation of spiritual law, must come to pass. I once knew a woman who declared, "I am going to entertain abundance in my life." But when I visited her home, I found her cupboards half empty, her table bare, and her talk full of worry. She had spoken the words, but she had not prepared the place. She had not acted as though her guest, abundance, was already on the way. I told her, "If you were expecting the most honored guest you have ever known, would you not prepare a room, set a table, light a lamp? You would not wait until the guest arrived to do these things. You would have them ready and welcome." She took my words to heart. She began keeping her home as though a banquet were always about to begin. She bought a beautiful new tablecloth and set her best dishes, even when dining alone. She arranged flowers in her rooms, filled her pantry, and began to walk with the air of a woman whose life was full. Within a short time, she received a financial gift from a relative, a new opportunity in her work, and a circle of friends who loved to visit her home. The law had seen her preparation and answered it. You cannot prepare for lack and expect abundance. Yet many people do exactly this. They speak of prosperity, but make arrangements for scarcity. They hesitate to invest in their work, to improve their surroundings, or to enlarge their vision, because they are secretly preparing for disappointment. The law gives to each exactly what they have made ready to receive. If your mental and emotional house is small, your supply will match it. If your house is vast, built with thoughts of plenty, prepared with acts of faith, then the supply that comes will be vast also. Think of the farmer. He does not stand in his barren field declaring, "I shall have a great harvest," and then fail to plant the seed. No, he prepares the ground, sows generously, waters diligently. His preparation is the visible sign of his expectation. So it is with you. If you declare, "I am prosperous," and yet live as though you will never have enough, your actions betray your words. The law hears the louder voice, and the louder voice is always action. Let me tell you of a man who longed for greater opportunities in his career. He affirmed daily that the perfect position was his, yet he remained in an office cluttered with old papers, broken equipment, and the air of someone marking time. I said to him, "You are asking for a palace while living in a hut. Make ready for the palace." He cleaned his workspace, repaired what was broken, dressed each day as though he were already in the role he desired. He began arriving early, working with a new spirit of excellence. Within weeks, a company head visited unexpectedly, noticed his diligence, and offered him a far higher position, one that matched the image he had prepared for. Preparation is a declaration to the universe: "I believe so completely in my good that I have already made room for it." When you make room, the law must fill it. Nature abhors a vacuum, and spirit abhors an unfulfilled expectation of good. Say often, "I prepare my life for abundance. I make space for my good. I welcome my blessings with joy, knowing they are already on the way." And let your actions echo your words. Open the unused drawer for the new things you desire. Clear the calendar for the opportunities you expect. Replace the tattered with the beautiful. Treat your surroundings, your affairs, and your body as though they already live in the vibration of wealth. A woman once told me she wanted to be married, yet her home was so crowded there was not even a place for another person's belongings. I said, "Prepare a place for your partner. Empty a drawer, clear a section of your closet, set 2 places at the table." She did so, though at first it felt strange. Within months she met a man who became her husband, and she often said, "I believe he came because I made room for him." When you prepare for your desire, you show the law that you are certain, and certainty is irresistible to spirit. But let me warn you, preparation without joy is not preparation in the eyes of the law. If you prepare with doubt in your heart, muttering, "I'll do this, but I know it won't work," you have not prepared at all, you have only gone through the motions. Preparation must be the outer reflection of an inner song. If you wish to prepare for abundance, begin with gratitude for the abundance you already have. Give thanks for every small coin, every meal, every comfort. Gratitude is the cement that sets your preparation firmly in place. Remember, the law is never mocked. It will not send a feast to a table that is set for famine. It will not deliver a ship to a harbor that has not been cleared for its arrival, but it will pour wealth, opportunity, and joy into any life that has been prepared to receive it with open hands. So prepare now, act now, live now, as if your desire is not coming but has come. And from this readiness we move into the next truth, that divine supply is not only ready to fill your prepared place, it is inexhaustible, ever increasing, and cannot be depleted by any demand made upon it. When you have prepared your life for abundance, you may still find a shadow of fear whispering, "But what if it runs out? What if I use it up? What if there is not enough for me, for others, for tomorrow?" That voice is the voice of the world, the voice that sees only the storehouse and not the source. The world measures wealth in coins and commodities, counting each piece and fearing loss. But spirit's wealth is measured in substance, in the invisible, ever-present essence from which all forms spring, and that substance is infinite. The divine supply cannot be exhausted any more than the sun can run out of light. The sun shines without effort, without thought of scarcity, without rationing its rays. And God, the great source, radiates supply just as naturally, without pause, without depletion. This is why Jesus could say, "It is your Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom." God does not give reluctantly. He does not weigh your worthiness or your record before releasing your good. He pours it forth because giving is his nature, and his nature cannot be altered. I once knew a businessman who feared every contract, every sale, for he thought each gain must be balanced by some loss. He would say, "If I prosper, someone else must suffer. There's only so much to go around." And as you might guess, his success was always fleeting. One day I told him, "You are living by man's law of limitation, not by God's law of abundance. You have mistaken the supply for the source. The source is infinite, and it cannot be diminished by your gain or another's gain, it is multiplied." He began to affirm, "God's supply is endless, ever-flowing, and increases as it is drawn upon. My good blesses others and their good blesses me." And soon he saw that his prosperity opened doors for his employees, his clients, and his family. The more he gave, the more he received, not by magic but by the natural operation of divine law. This is the mystery and the majesty of God's supply. The more you use it, the more it grows. A river that flows refreshes itself. A lamp that gives light does not diminish its flame by lighting another. And the heart that gives freely to bless others finds its own cup refilled to overflowing. Do not imagine the universe as a pie that can be sliced only so many ways. The infinite is like a spring, ever flowing, ever renewing, untouched by the number of cups dipped into it. Your abundance does not diminish mine, nor does mine diminish yours. In the kingdom of God, all increase together. Say this with me now. I draw freely upon God's inexhaustible supply. As I receive, I give. As I give, I receive. The river of substance flows without end, blessing all it touches. Fear of depletion is one of the greatest blocks to prosperity. It causes people to clutch, to hoard, to close the very channels through which their good would come. I have seen people refuse to give a small gift or a kind loan, for fear they might need it later. Yet the very act of closing their hand to another closes the hand of supply to them. I remember a woman who came to me, troubled because her small business was failing. She confessed, "I have stopped tithing and stopped giving to friends in need. I'm afraid to let go of a penny." I told her, "Your fear has shut the gate. Give something, anything today, and speak over it. This is seed sown into God's unfailing law, and it returns to me multiplied." She did as I advised. Within a week she received 2 new clients and an overdue payment that more than covered her expenses. Her giving had reopened the channel. You cannot outgive God. The more you give in faith, whether it is money, time, love, or kindness, the more room you make for the greater flow. And the more you draw upon the infinite, the more the infinite reveals just how boundless it truly is. If you wish to live in abundance, make this your daily knowing: there is no depletion in God's economy. The supply that comes to you today does not reduce tomorrow's store, it prepares the way for more. The world may speak of shortage, but you must speak of overflow. The world may tell of famine, but you must declare the feast. You are not a child of the market, you are a child of the King, and his treasury is without limit. This understanding will dissolve envy, fear, and competition. You will no longer see another's success as a threat, but as proof that the river is flowing, and you will bless their gain, knowing that the same source blesses you. A woman once told me, "I am surrounded by wealthy people, and it makes me feel small." I replied, "Instead of feeling small, let their abundance remind you of the infinite reservoir from which we all drink. Say, what God has done for them, God now does for me in perfect ways." She began to say this each time she saw evidence of wealth, and soon her own life began to reflect it. So release the thought of limited resources. Release the fear of not enough. Step into the truth that there is more than you can ever use, more than you can ever imagine, and it is yours by divine right. Affirm it now: I live in the midst of boundless supply. Every demand I make upon God's substance is met in full, and more besides. My blessings multiply as they are shared, and the river never runs dry. And now, from this place of fearless knowing, you are ready for the final truth, that your only work is to believe. The how, the method, the path of your supply, this is God's business, and He never fails to deliver in perfect ways. You have now seen that the supply is inexhaustible, that the river never runs dry, and that your abundance does not diminish another's, nor theirs, yours. And yet, here lies the greatest stumbling stone for most souls. They see the truth, they affirm the truth, and then they peer anxiously into the future and whisper, "But how will it come? What path will it take? Who will be the instrument?" This is where faith is either crowned or crucified. The moment you ask how your good will come, you have shifted from the infinite into the finite, from the boundless wisdom of spirit into the narrow corridors of human reasoning. You have stepped off the royal road of faith and wandered into the dusty back lanes of doubt. You see, the how has never belonged to you. It belongs to God alone. It is His delight to arrange the channels, to open the doors, to move the people, and to orchestrate the timing in ways your mind could never conceive. When you take the how into your own hands, you take upon yourself a burden you were never meant to carry, and with that burden comes strain, and with strain comes delay. But when you leave the how in God's keeping, you walk in peace, knowing that what is yours by divine right will reach you in perfect ways and perfect timing. I recall a woman who came to me, frantic over an unpaid debt. She said, "I've worked out 3 possible ways this could be paid, and none of them is working. I don't know what else to do." I told her, "Then stop doing, lay the how on the altar. Say, I now hand this matter to infinite intelligence. Let it be fulfilled in perfect ways, beyond my understanding." She obeyed. She let go, not half-heartedly, but completely. 2 days later, she received a letter from an old employer with a check for back pay she hadn't even known she was owed. That was the 4th way, the way her human mind could not have planned, but which divine mind had already prepared. This is why Jesus said, "Be not anxious for your life, what ye shall eat, or what ye shall drink, for your heavenly Father knoweth that ye have need of all these things." Your part is not to scheme, but to trust, not to map the route, but to keep your gaze fixed upon the goal, not to force the doors, but to stand ready when they swing open of their own accord. Say this with me: the how is God's business. I rest in His unfailing wisdom. My good now comes to me in perfect ways, and I rejoice in advance. Faith is not merely believing that God can, it is knowing that God will. And more than that, it is knowing that He will do it in a way that leaves you in awe, for Spirit's ways are always higher, richer, and more beautiful than human contriving. When you release the how, you become like a ship whose sails are set to catch the wind. You may not see the wind, but you feel its power, and it moves you steadily toward your destination. If you demand to see the wind before you sail, you will never leave the harbor. The mind that clings to control says, "I will believe when I see the way," but the soul that lives by divine law says, I believe, therefore the way appears. Once I counseled a young man who longed for a position in a certain firm. He applied twice, and was refused. He came to me in despair, saying, "Perhaps it is not meant to be." I told him, "You are staring at one channel, as if it were your only lifeline. God may indeed give you that position, or something far better, but it will come by His route, not yours. Release it to Him. Say, 'I am divinely guided to my right work, and it now comes to me in perfect ways.'" He obeyed. Within 3 weeks, the very firm that had refused him called with an urgent offer, at double the salary of the original position. The how was not his to dictate, and when he stopped dictating, the door opened. When you fixate on how, you tie the hands of divine substance, but when you release it, you give God full liberty to act. Imagine the gardener who plants a seed, and then digs it up each day to see how it is growing. That seed will never bear fruit. So too with your prayers. You must plant them in faith, water them with expectancy, and let them grow in the hidden soil of spirit until the harvest appears. Therefore, from this moment, cease all anxious figuring, cease all forcing and fretting. Take your desire, name it clearly, affirm it as already yours, and then place it entirely in God's hands. Say it now, and let it ring in your soul. I live in divine expectancy. I do not concern myself with methods or channels. My supply appears in perfect ways, and I praise it before it is seen. And remember, God is never late. Delay is only the time it takes for you to release your grip on the how and to open your hands to receive. You are not required to make the way. You are required to believe the way is already made. Stand firm then, in the knowing that your prayer has been answered from the moment it was spoken in faith. Walk forward, as if the door were already open, for in the invisible it is. This is the royal road to manifestation. Prepare yourself. Know the law, see the inexhaustible supply, release the how, and receive with thanksgiving. And so we close with the final affirmation. Speak it as a decree, for it is your seal upon this truth. The vaults of heaven are open. My blessings pour forth now. I rest in divine trust, and every good and perfect gift comes to me by right of consciousness. It is done. It is finished. It is sealed under grace. Beloved, you have now walked the path of truth from the seed of desire to the harvest of manifestation. You have seen that God is the source, the only source, and that His supply is infinite and eternal. You have learned that the vaults of heaven are not locked to you. They stand wide open, waiting only for the key of your faith and the word of your decree. You have discovered that the law responds not to fear, not to begging, but to the consciousness of already having. You have seen that doubt and worry are the thieves of your harvest, while praise and expectancy multiply your blessing. You have released the how into the keeping of infinite intelligence, for that is God's work, not yours. Your work is to believe, to prepare, to stand in gratitude, and to receive without resistance. Now stand tall in this knowing. The vault is open, the river flows, the supply is here, now, and nothing, no man, no circumstance, no seeming delay can keep from you that which is yours by divine right. Say it aloud, with the certainty of one who already holds the gift in hand. I am a child of the Most High God. I live in the kingdom of endless supply. Every need is met before I speak it. Every desire is fulfilled before I imagine it. I am one with the source, and the source is one with me. Therefore I lack for nothing, I wait for nothing, I fear nothing. My good rushes to me now, under grace, in perfect ways, and so it is. Let this truth saturate your mind, fill your heart, and flow into every cell of your being, until doubt has no dwelling place in you. For when you stand in unshakable faith, the universe moves to meet you. From this day forward, you are no longer a seeker, you are a finder. You are no longer asking if your good will come, you are welcoming it home. The vault of heaven is open, the blessings are pouring, you are ready to receive, and it is done.